So welcome to Lab 3, my first tack part 2, Grand Canyon University CYB 610. So the presentation outline is going to be vulnerability and exploit for root access to Chiroptix 1, or just access in general, and adding username and password to Chiroptix, and then system hardening and mitigation, and the taxonomy of certain attacks. So these next few screenshots are going to be on my Kali Linux machine, and they're going to be essentially, I'm going to be explaining them, but they're going to be gaining access to Chiroptix level 1. So first, besides running an Nmap scan and everything and finding the Chiroptix 1 virtual machine IP address, I already had it entered in here, so I ran MSF console for Metasploit to exploit the vulnerabilities in the system. I used MSF console and command to start Metasploit. So after that, obviously it started up, and then I ran use auxiliary slash scanner slash SMB underscore version, which then open up auxiliary, and then or for the scanner, and then I set rhost to my Chiroptix machine, which is 10.0.2.8, and then it set it, and then I just ran it. So then it showed as well on there. It showed the SMB version was 2.2.1a. So I searched that as well into my Mozilla site or website, and it came up with this. So some less than 2.2.8. Linux, of course, we already know it's Linux because it's Chiroptix, so we already know that it's a Linux according to the Nmap scan we did. So there it says remote root exploit for Samba 2.2.x and prior, which we are 2.2.1a, where the exact same as that. So after that, we have to run the exploit on it. So run our machine against the exploit. So we ran vi space 10.c, and then we ran ls to see that that is in there. Then gcc 10.c, tac o, and then 10 to change it to 10. And then after that, where I ran the next command is /10 for remote root exploit and access to Chiroptix, and to view all the options as well, the tac B, tac uppercase B, C, C, D, F, and so on. So to run the command that we need to exploit the system, we ran /10 minus B, then space 0 because it is the platform, and then 0 because it is a Linux system, and then we ran our Chiroptix IP address on that as well, which is 10.0.2.8. So after that, we gained access into the system, and then my job was to create a username, so I just made it Soldier, my last name, and then my password as well. That way I could log into Chiroptix, and that is also a screenshot of my Chiroptix system, me signed into it as well. So the command I used to add this, which I had to do some research for, is /user or usr/sbin/user add, and then I just typed Soldier, which is to add that username, and then password Soldier, and then new password did that. And it told me a bad password, and I retyped the new password, and it worked after that. So I changed it, and then it was all good to go. Authentication token updated successfully. So, to harden the system, though, on that, I would say I would use at least these three, and I don't know why they're numbered wrong. I apologize. But principle of least privilege grants users in applications the minimum level of access required for their tasks. This reduces the potential impact of their credentials are compromised. Regularly review and revoke unnecessary privileges, for certain systems. Kyoptrix can be one of them as well. Obviously, that one is meant to be hacked, so it's going to be a little bit different. But in general, for other systems, I would say for hardening and mitigation techniques, these would be sufficient. So secure privileged accounts, implementing strong passwords and multi-factor authentication for all accounts, pretty much. Limit number of privileged accounts, so that way they don't have as many privileges as they may want, but they don't need every privilege. It just opens up more of an attack surface for hackers and other attackers to get in there. So vulnerability management. Regularly patch and update systems. Conduct vulnerability scans, prioritize patching for critical vulnerabilities, and then also, use other tools like application whitelisting and sandboxing as well to create a better and more secure environment and system. So these are the different attacks that I researched and made. So summary: buffer overflow exploits programming vulnerabilities where data exceeds allocated memory space, overriding adjacent instructions and allowing code execution. So the categories: stack overflow, heap overflow, and format string vulnerability. So privilege escalation. This compromises the system to gain higher privileges, or root access for more control over the system. And these categories for this are vertical privilege escalation, horizontal privilege escalation, local privilege escalation, and remote privilege escalation. And obviously this happens a lot in bigger businesses and everything, so that way they can the hackers can gain access to multiple, just tons of stuff. So rootkits, these are like pretty stealthy programs that hide their presence while also granting attackers persistent access and control. For categories: user mode rootkits, kernel mode rootkits, and then also hardware rootkits as well. Trojans. So obviously everybody knows about Trojans. These are crazy. They've been around for a long time. Disguised malicious programs that appear legitimate, and then they trick the users into clicking on them, executing them for attacker benefits. So there's downloadable Trojans, backdoor Trojans, data theft, stealing Trojans, and then also destructive Trojans, which they pretty much all are destructive to your system. Yeah, I accidentally skipped one. Viruses, summary of this one is self-replicating malicious programs that spread by infecting other files or systems. Categories: file infector viruses, boot sector, macro, polymorphic, and blended threats. So return-oriented programming. These exploit existing code sequences to create malicious functionality without writing new code. So you have gadget chain ROP and you have full ROP. Common social media engineering attacks. Obviously there's phishing, pretexting, baiting, tailgating, quid pro quo. Deceptive attackers used to manipulate victims into revealing information or taking actions that benefit attackers. Obviously, best thing to do is keep all your information private and not give out any personally identifying information. So that is it, and thank you for watching.